The NFL preseason is in full effect. We got some unhappy players in the NFL, notably Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, and Terry McLaurin, two of which have requested trades from their teams that they've been with for a good while. So we're going to break down each scenario and what we think the likely outcome is going to be and will they play for their respective teams in 2025. Let's get into it. And look who's in the building. The man, the myth, the legend. Young RG, the young Padawan, the degenerate gamblers in the building, man. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Man, feeling good after finally got some football. You know, it was the Hall of Fame game has come and gone. Obviously, Chargers had a amazing game. Doesn't mean anything, but for us, you know, the degenerate football watchers who crave and starve for any ounce of football, we got our little fix in. Yeah, like us. We got our little fix in this past Thursday, and that's it. Last Thursday without football until the Super Bowl. Yeah, until, you know, February. So
right.
It's great time. Great time.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Great, man. Yes, indeed, man. So yeah, the Chargers have a good outing on Thursday, man. And it was good positive bills on it. I'm going to talk about that on the Electric Shock podcast this week. So shameless plug. Check that out each and every day at 3 p.m. And we'll get that rolling for you, break down all the rookies and what they did in those games. They had some pretty good outings. They did some pretty good things out there. And I've been seeing a lot of guys praise it, so we'll see how things go. But we're not here to talk about the Chargers. We're here to talk about these trade requests and some of the very elite, unhappy players going on in camp. You know, Terry McLaurin with the Commanders. We got Micah Parsons. A lot of NFC East beef here. With the Cowboys, he's unhappy with Jerry Jones in the front office, and we even talk about Trey Hendrickson for a while. He's unhappy, but I will say for this, I give these brothers credit that they definitely are, you know, stand-up men and didn't decide to hold out or away from the team. They're in-house. They're just not practicing, and rightfully so. When you're looking for a new deal, you don't want to jeopardize yourself and get yourself hurt or do something crazy that was going to jeopardize your ability to get paid. So you want to protect your assets, as Marshawn Lynch says, protect your chicken. You know, so you want to do that. So so Terry McLaurin, Michael Parsons, and Trey Hicks is all in camp. However, they're not practicing.
Yeah, you know, they're not trying to get fined that $50,000 a day.
Well, that matters too. A little bit.
You know,
it might be a small reason why they can't decide to come to camp. But you know, as long as they're present, they can't get fined. So you know, funny, another Marshawn Lynch line. You know, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Here so I don't get fined. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Strictly business.
Exactly. So we're here to discuss who's going to blink first. You know, the trade requests have come in from Michael Parsons and Terry McLaurin after the talks have stalled. Trey Hendrickson is just disgruntled and unhappy, although we're not hearing as much of an uproar in Cincinnati that we're hearing in Washington and Dallas. But what's going to be the fallout? Are these trade requests going to get honored? Will they be shipped off? Will they be re-signed? You know, will they sit out? It's a lot of different ways they can go and play these cards that they have dealt here. So we're going to talk about each of these gentlemen, and we're going to give our opinions on exactly what we feel like is going to happen with each scenario. So starting off with aforementioned Trey Hendrickson. Like I said, Trey Hendrickson has been dealing with the front office and the Cincinnati Bengals for a good while and regarding his contract. And I think that they're at an impasse because they had what they thought they had a good faith conversation after he came back last year and said that they promised him a new deal after this season. And he decided to lead the league in sacks yet again. And, you know, now he's basically like, where's the money? So, you know, give me your perspective on this. Tell me exactly what do you think about this at where it lands right now and how you think this plays out?
Yeah, the Bengals have been in this has been a off season to forget for the Bengals fans. That's to true. Say the least. Yeah. You finally, you know, on one hand, you finally did get Shamar Stewart signed. So all is well in that regard. However, your big kind of absolutely needed piece is still unavailable, is still unsigned. I mean, what more do you want from the guy? You said, we'll give you a deal next year, do it again. He did it again, led the league in sacks. I mean, you have Sam Hubbard retire. yeah, you do bring in the rookie, but you were bringing in that rookie with the intention of he's going to learn behind Trey and also feed off of Trey, because Trey is going to be demanding the bulk of the attention on the offensive line. So I just think, obviously, all of these guys should need to be signed. You know, I believe these are all big priorities for, you know, the respective teams. But specifically for the Bengals, where defense was your horrible Achilles heel last year, and quite literally the only reason why you didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You got to address that side of the ball, and you got to load up on that side of the ball as much as possible. And I'm sorry, but I see all these reports about, like, oh, the Bengals are a playoff lock. You know, they're AFC, you know, locked to win the AFC North. And I'm like, there's no way that a team that is more expensive and essentially worse on defense than it was last year is going to compete. And they need to get this deal done immediately.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the problem I have is that, you know, it's kind of like the old surly man's ideology. They want to wait till the last minute to do anything. I think the Bengals owner and Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's another owner on this list.
Do the same thing in regards to want to wait until the 11th hour to get things done. And that just, I mean, you're pissing off the player for starters. Like, you know, that's one thing. That's why we can go through these, you know, hoops of, I want to trade, I'm not going to report, I'm not going to practice, you know, all these things that are detrimental to the progression of the team, right? So, yeah, I agree with you. It should get done. But, you know, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, you know, what's your long-term goal here? Like, you know, because if he has the numbers to rival, you know, your TJ Watson and Myles Garrett, who are in the division with you. And like you said, you know, with that defense being so porous in the past, you need every bit of talent you can muster to compete, because like you said, they are not a playoff team or not even close to a competing team unless they have, you know, a defense that can get stops. You know, Joe Burrow can't win shootouts for you forever. It's not possible. That's not the way this league runs. And you're in a really defensively tough division. I'm not going to say you're in the toughest division, because Cleveland Browns is floundering. We don't know what the Steelers are going to look like on offense, but their defense is going to be tough. The Ravens defense is going to be tough, and the Browns on paper look tough on defense. I don't know what their offense is going to look like, but they definitely play tough defense in this division. So if you got 6 games at least that you're going to have to play hard, and those teams are going to give you a good run it for your money, you know, from a defense perspective, you got to be able to stop them, you know, to be able to, you know, come out on top. So I agree with you. It needs to get done, but I'm skeptical on this one. I'm not sure exactly it does, because if they don't have in their mind, if Brown does not have in his mind that he wants to keep him long term, if he wants to, you know, quote unquote, let him tutor Shamar, and Shamar's going to be the main guy going forward, you know, get what you can now for. You know, you know, maybe get yourself another young edge rusher that you want to develop, you know, and let those two kind of feed off each other, and you just build from a coaching perspective. But if you don't plan on signing him for the next 2 to 3 years, then I would let him go. I mean, again, we playing this song and dance because I'm sure that somebody out there will be willing to pay him the market value, and you can get some good capital back from him to rebuild, because you need more. To your point, you need more than just that. You need more linebackers, you need more corners, you need more safeties, you need a lot of things. So if you go into it with better draft capital and, you know, maybe players in return in other positions, you can holistically help your defense by trading Trey versus keeping him, and you still have holes in your defense. So, you know, I know they drafted the linebacker, you know, they in the second round pick they got. I know they drafted him, but he's just one guy, you know, and he is a rookie. You know, he plays well, but he's a rookie. So
it's also a new defensive coordinator on the team too. So
that's
I mean, you know, first year in the system, like, you know, it's pretty rare you see a first time defensive coordinator immediately come into the league and, you know, light it up, you know, basically from jump. I think Jesse Minter more recently has been one of the few to kind of do that.
Right.
But there's also a lot of things that factored into that last play schedule, you know, things around that nature.
Well, they're kind of saying that now too, but, you know, it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was rumblings, you know, midway through last year about him getting a head coaching job, and this dude was barely in his first year as a coordinator.
That's true.
I think that, you know, and again, Jesse Minter had some talent to work with. If you don't even have, you know, as a first year defensive coordinator, your best defensive player isn't there.
Yes,
you're already at a significant disadvantage coming into the year.
Good point. So yeah, I would say that, you know, if you don't have a future plan in mind for Trey, if you just want to use him for 1 or 2 years, I would trade him and get what I can for him, because he's not going to be more valuable to you than he is now.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't have any plans for him future, trade him now and get some good capital back from him and build your defense and help Joe Burrow out long term, not just 1 year.
Yeah, out of the three, I think he is the most likely to get traded because that ownership is the most likely to just cut bait and let their pride be their downfall.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens if that trade gets done before the season. If it goes into the season, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not looking good for Bengals though.
It's not. But we'll see. But I say if you build around him for the future and let him be your mainstay, pay him market value. If you're not, trade him and get exactly what you can from top of the market. Because the longer you wait, the less likely you'll be able to sign him because the deal's going to run out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So moving forward, let's talk about Micah Parsons next. So it's messy in Dallas, man. It's real messy. Like this might be the messiest one out of the three because. I find it interesting that, he flat out said it unequivocally he don't want to play for Dallas anymore. He don't like how Jerry's conducting things. Jerry don't want to deal with his agent and all these things when, just 4 short years ago, Micah was so elated to get drafted by the Cowboys because that was his childhood team. Yeah. So you would think that would play into it, right? But deal is deal and money is money. And he, out of these three, he probably has the most accolades in a 4-year run than anybody else. So I would argue for and I'll take the lead on this one. I would say that, let me backtrack. I would say this, because I said 2 years ago, because right before you had to pay Dak and pay CD, that you can't pay all three, right? I said that, now somehow or another, Jerry can finagle the numbers and, make it more top heavy from a guaranteed money perspective because he has the money to give, one of the richest owners in the NFL, if not the richest. So I think him and Kroenke are like neck and neck in regards to that, the LA Rams owner. So, he has the money to fork over to make it kind of fit underneath the cap, right? But my problem is this, again, if you sign Micah, at this point, you are at the ceiling. You are at the ceiling. So if you sign Micah to a market deal, we're talking $41 million because he's trying to be in line with the TJ Watson, Myles Garrett's of the world, right? Same with Trey Hendrickson. Do you pay him that money and just basically say that we're going to be who we are for the next 4 to 5 years, or do you potentially trade him and do with like I said about the Bengals and getting a haul? I think you could probably get a Khalil Mack type haul from anybody that will be willing to trade for Micah. So do you do that, or do you just pay him and just say that we're going to, CD, Dak, and Mike are going to be our cornerstones, and then everybody else is going to be, quote unquote rookie-esque contracts around the board, because you can't pay anybody else at this point because you're paying Trayvon Diggs too. That's another person you're paying. So you got 4 big time contracts on your books for the next 4 to 5 years. Can you live with that and be competitive or not? Because that's going to be the line of the sand for me. What do you think?
Hey, Jerry said it really doesn't matter what I think. Jerry said that these players, they have a chance to get injured. They, there's no guarantee that they're going to play all 17 games, yada, yada, yada. Jerry, you're going to pay him. Okay. You know it. We all know it. You're going to pay him. You're going to wait until the very last second, like you do every year. You're going to try to make it the next big headline. Look how much money I gave Micah Parsons, trying to look over the fact that you completely ridiculed this man, and basically everybody in your locker room saying that, why should we pay any of these guys since there's a chance they could get hurt? Jerry, why the are you in the business of football, my guy? You have no connection to the youth. You have no connection to your locker room. You want everything to be done your way or the highway. You haven't had success since you weren't in charge of every little thing, since Jimmy Johnson was running things there. So and it's never going to happen. We say this every year. All Jerry has to do is just play good owner, sit back, let them do, let the coaches, let the executives run the team and just reap in the benefits. But no, Jerry has to be the one that's in charge of everything, has to have his hand in every single deal that gets made. I mean, you even heard him on or I don't even know if you could really call it an interview, but there's a soundbite of him basically saying, like, when it's the big players, I'm the one that's in charge. Like, when do you ever hear another owner of any other team say that in regards to contracts? They leave that up to the agents. They leave that up to the GMs. And it's just, it's I know Micah's eventually going to get signed, and maybe when he does get that $200 million deal, all will be forgiven. But I truly do think that Jerry is doing irreparable damage to his team's image, his own image, the image of, the culture you're trying to build there in Dallas. I mean, I can't think of many players that would want to play for an owner who is basically throwing you out there like damn gladiators and, just we'll replace the next one. We'll put the next guy in. Like, I think as much as I truly believe that Micah will get signed because this is the way Jerry does things, this might be the worst. This might be the worst his image has ever looked. And it's looked really bad in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But he is looking like just a downright horrible human being. Forget owner, forget boss, manager, whatever you want to say. Like, human to human, it just seems that Jerry has like zero regard for any of the guys that are going to war for him, essentially.
But listen to this math here real quick. Just looking at the contracts for next year. So going into the next season, Dak Prescott carries a $74 million cap hit. His cap number is $74 million, with $40 million of that guaranteed just next year.
Christ.
Terrence Steele is $18 million of cap number. CeeDee Lamb is at $38 million, and Trayvon Diggs is at 18. Then you follow that with Odigizua is at 20, and Tyler Smith is at 21. So those, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys over $20 million or more going into next year. Then you're going to add $40 million on top of that potentially. Now, mind you, you're getting probably, top, make the contract top loaded where he get a lot guaranteed, and his cap numbers over the first couple of years, but it's still going to be something. It's still going to be around with 10, 20, maybe 15, $20 million cap hit. So that's a lot. And they're already $5 million over the cap before we even get to 2026. So they're going to have to do some reworking in numbers just to fit Micah underneath the cap to begin with. So I don't know, man. It's rough. But to your point, because he drafted him, he wants to look like a genius to say that I drafted him, I'm going to keep him. He's going to be Cowboy forever.
Yep.
He's like going to try to get it done, but this whole back and forth with finagling and the agent, and I don't want to deal with the agent. Me and Micah had a deal, and they were trying to, I don't know, they're trying to do some kind of weird stuff with the language, and the agent didn't like it, so they went back to the drawing board. It's a mess. It's a mess. But again, it just could be the way of life right now when you come to big time contracts. When you dealing in, I hate to bring this up, but ever since the Deshaun Watson contract, every time a big ticket item comes in for paying somebody, we always got to do these battles. So we'll see how things roll. But yeah, I think Jerry, I'm with you. I think Jerry does sign him. It's just a matter of when,
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be a matter of when. I mean, he's 4 years in the league, 4-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, has averaging 12 sacks a year. Like, this dude hasn't even reached his prime, like his peak prime yet. If you trade him now, you're gonna. This is a move that will haunt your franchise for years.
I mean, but I would argue that trading is a holistically bad thing because, I mean, if you look at it from a competition perspective, they're already looking at third in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So if you trade them and you recoup things and get better over time and kind of do what the Eagles have been doing and build through the draft and use your picks and your draft capital wisely and try to build your team up and kind of create a super team of young players, then that could be your model. You could get, to the promised land that way. But I guarantee you that, again, much like Trey Hendrickson, you're not going to get a better haul right now than by trading Mike. If you do it now or just don't do it, because his trade value is going to drop from here on out. I think he's at the peak of the trade value right now. You're not going to get any more than what you would get from him now if you trade him now. So it's just something to think about. But I do think Jerry signs. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
All right. So lastly on the list is I got Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, Mr. Consistent, Mr. I can do it with whoever quarterback I have.
10 different ones.
10 different quarterbacks, as our statistician Young RG has backstage, that Terry has had 10 different quarterbacks thrown to him in his career with Washington. And Jaden was his only stable quarterback this year that he had the whole entire year without, some type of switch, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So tell me what you think about this scenario, because this particular one is interesting too, because he has requested a trade. They, and they have a new ownership group, and they only got a quarterback on a rookie deal. So this should be a layup, in my opinion. But what do you think this lands? How you feel about this, and where do you think this lands?
Yeah, this is easily the most puzzling of the three because this felt like a slam dunk. I think we did our preview videos pretty much right after the draft, and this was one of the things we talked about. We were like, oh, yeah, Scary Terry, they'll pay him. It's just a matter of when. And now here we are pretty much in preseason, and we're still at the drawing table. He has now requested a trade, like you mentioned. And this just doesn't make any sense to me. You have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal, so you're paying him basically nothing. Okay, you guys went to the NFC Championship game last year, so if anything, you should be pouring as many resources into this next season as you possibly can, because when that time comes due to pay JD, you're gonna have to give him a boatload of money, and it's going to significantly restrict what you're able to do in free agency and things like that. So I think, I honestly, this just kind of blows my mind that he hasn't been signed yet. I don't think he gets traded. I don't think you do that to your rookie QB. I think this deal does get done. It's going to come. This deal might be one where he holds out a week or two, very similar to like the Emmitt Smith deal, where he holds out the first 2 weeks. The Cowboys go 0-2. Jerry, shockingly, finally caves, and he's like, "All right, we'll pay you." And the rest is history. They go on to win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that the Commanders are going to go on to win the Super Bowl, although I'm sure Coach Mike would love that and tell you that
absolutely.
It's true. But it's similar in the sense of you saw what that team did last year with him. Like you mentioned, the 10 different quarterbacks, technically 11, although one of them was only for a game, but 10 different starting quarterbacks in his 5 years before JD got there. And it's just like, you don't see that level of consistency with horrible QB play often. D-Hop was one of the guys that could do it with just ass QB after ass QB in Houston. There's a few other guys who I'm definitely not thinking of off the top of my head, but a lot of the great wide receiver. I mean, obviously Randy Moss. There's like so many great receivers that can just do it with anybody. But typically the best wide receivers, especially in today's game, will try to stay with one or maybe two teams, if that, and really excel with them. But these are one of the few guys that you feel like anywhere he goes, he'll be successful. So why not in your building where you were successful last year?
Right. And he had one of the better years with a stable quarterback. So if I can put up 1,000 yards with a bunch of terrible quarterbacks and then come in with a stable quarterback and do even better, that should trend to the idea that I should be able to sustain my level of play and we can build together, in that kind of situation. So, and I think the impasse with this situation in the Josh Harris group and the new ownership regime is, I think their issue is that, what Terry's issue is with them is that they don't understand the history behind it. Because Terry was a later round pick. He wasn't a first round pick. I believe he was a fourth round pick, if I'm not mistaken. And so he didn't get paid off his first deal. Obviously, he paid that out for 4 years, and then he got I wouldn't say he didn't get a top of the market deal when he got his secondary deal.
Nice extension.
Yeah, it was nice, but it wasn't top of the market. And he was a consistent 1,000-yard receiver with, again, terrible quarterbacks. So now I'm on my last, I'm not gonna say my last leg because that's a bad, utilization of a pun, but I'm on my last time to be able to get paid. I got to maximize my potential to get paid this one last time, and they don't really understand it because they're coming into new to this game in regards to dealing with him. So I think that's where the impasse is, because he said, "Look, I'm going to be your number one guy. Me and JD have a excellent relationship, excellent rapport. This all makes sense. Pay me like a number one receiver, and let's go to work and let's win some ball games." That's how Terry feels. And just some reason, some way, although they have the capital to do it, they just were reluctant to sign him because of his age, most likely. I think that's the only reason they're really hanging up on the idea of his age and his longevity. From a perspective, I want to give him 3 years, maybe. I would say 3 years. Yes, maybe let's call it, $90 to $100 million. Something like that, 110. Something around
60,
that range.
70, give it fully guaranteed.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, again, do you really want to roll out your team with Deebo Samuel being your number one receiver?
Hell no.
Who has a big time injury history versus Terry? Terry hasn't really been hurt, in his career, to a large degree. Deebo has. And let's be honest, I mean, Deebo's a gadget guy, but he's not Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, Deebo's looking a lot more like Doughboy too recently. Just
wow,
with
that's the thing too.
I mean, look, you don't want a guy looking like that being your number one wide receiver going into next year. That's all I'm
I'll
saying.
shoot him some bell because I saw him on Training Camp Live on NFL Network, and he did look like he looked real muscular. Like
Okay.
he put on some muscle. He didn't. It's not necessarily fat. He just had more. He got. I guess he's trying to put on a few pounds of muscle to allow him to be able to endure the NFL season. I'm going to give him that. But
we'll see. We'll see.
regardless of his stature, you don't want to roll him out as your number one.
No, hell no, you don't want to roll him out. No, Commanders fans would be up in arms if that's your starting wide receiver going out into week one.
Absolutely. Yeah, and let's be honest, those are your two weapons because the guys behind them are journeymen and unproven guys. So
or really old vets.
that part too. So yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Again, you should definitely be not a if but a win. We got to come to the agreement on what type of money and competition is going to work for both parties.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, this ownership group should be able to give him a lot of money up front. So I think that's more likely than not what he's after, being on that opposite side of 30. You want your stability. You want to know, like, hey, I'm taking care of, God forbid something happens. So, and it's also just mentally for the player, it's like you're able to go out there and play almost fearless because you're like, hey, God forbid, I get injured. I'm taken care of. So I'm going to give my all to this franchise because they gave their all to me. I'm just shocked it's come this far.
Yeah, and one final point I'll make before we get out of here. I just think that out of the three scenarios we broke down, this is the most likely to me that he needs to stay home.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, Trey Hendrickson is really he's like right behind him because that defense without him is atrocious. But like you mentioned, with the rookie quarterback, with the success they had last year in year one with the rookie quarterback, this has to get done, and it has to get done really soon.
Agreed. All right, man. So let us know in the comments how you feel about these particular scenarios. What do you think exactly what is going to happen with these three guys? Are they going to stay home? They're going to get traded, and what they might get traded for? So let us know in the comments. As always, hit that subscribe button to let our YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out here in the YouTube land. If you're looking for us on our socials, the Hit Squad is here on Twitter and X. If you're looking for Commanders, Chiefs, or Chargers news, please hit them up on that particular facet. DM them. They'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network on any facet, on any platform, we all there in every facet, even Facebook. Lockdown Defense Sports on most platforms, Lockdown Defense on Twitter. And we even got a Gmail address, lockdowndefensesports@gmail.com, if you're old school and want to send us an email. So we'll take it all in stride, and all correspondence are welcome. So, man, yeah, so we'll be back in the rest of the week doing training camp reviews. The Chargers, Chiefs, and Commanders reviews will be out this week, always 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, hit that subscribe button as always, and we'll be back this week. We'll get preseason rolling, and we'll see y'all on the field, man. Hope your teams do well, everybody stays healthy, and we'll be rolling through into the preseason, and NFL season will be here before we know it, man. 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away.
Yeah, man. So excited. And yeah, like you mentioned, no injuries. That's about what every NFL fan can agree on for this entire preseason. No injuries,
Absolutely. Okay. All right, man. So that's going to wrap it up here, man. That is Young RG. I'm Coach Defense. Until next time, we'll see you when we see you. Step up and lock it down.